Hi everyone, this is Jacob with MetaPure Products, here to talk about why skin sanitizers aren't as effective as we may think that they are. For the purposes of this conversation, when I refer to skin sanitizers, I'm referring more to the alcohol-based sanitizers that are pretty popular and are used pretty frequently. Alright, so I want to talk a little bit about the skin first. The skin is made up of an ecology, well, rather, residing on the skin, there's an ecology of bacteria that actually keep it healthy. It's made up of both good bacteria primarily, but as well as bad bacteria. And these two different types of bacteria maintain a balance within the skin. And on that surface of the skin, there is what's called a natural acid mantle, granted that the skin is healthy. Now, healthy skin has a pH of about 5.5, so it's slightly acidic, and that's due to this natural acid mantle that resides on the surface of the skin. Now, this acidic mantle actually plays an important role and has three main functions. The first one is that it actually helps to protect the skin from damage. The second is that it helps to moisturize and hydrate the skin. And then lastly, it also naturally disinfects the skin, or gets rid of and eliminates any pathogens from residing on the skin. So now when we use alcohol, we're actually disrupting this ecology of bacteria on the skin. And when that happens, we're removing the natural acid mantle altogether. So there's a lot of adverse effects that take place because of that. All right, so as I mentioned, it kills the good bacteria on the skin and disrupts the acid mantle. So the effects of this is that it ends up actually damaging the skin. That's why when you use alcohol sanitizers, you instantly feel that sense of dryness. Now, I will say that there are some alcohol-based sanitizers that have added some kind of aloe or moisturizer. At the end of the day, those moisturizers aren't doing anything to help replace the natural acid mantle, so they may provide some sort of relief from that immediate feeling of dryness, but it's not helping or any more than regular alcohol-based sanitizer. So alcohol is not a good solution then for a number of reasons. Okay, first and foremost, it evaporates very, very quickly when it is exposed to heat. So in this case, we're talking about your body heat or the heat of your hands. As soon as it touches your hand and feels that heat, it evaporates and doesn't end up killing as much bacteria as you think it does. And because it evaporates, it actually has a very, very little kill time. So the bacteria it actually ends up removing or killing regrows pretty quickly back on the skin. Now, this is important when we get to this third point, because the pathogens over a period of time actually become resistant to the alcohol in the sanitizer. You know, pathogens are actually pretty intelligent specimen in that they have a sort of survival of the fittest mechanism, and so they can grow immune to the alcohol-based solution. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, it also causes skin damage. It's that same damage that ends up causing your skin to crack and become dry. So some long-term effects is that you have chronic dry skin, itchy, dryness, cracking, occasional bleeding. And specifically where there's cracks, think of the knuckles or in between the fingers or right below the knuckles themselves. In these cracks, this is where the bad bacteria and opportunistic bacteria end up residing. So when you have chronic dry skin, you're providing an additional housing opportunity for these bacteria to reside in and stay there. Also, you can end up acquiring eczema. Eczema is actually something that some people are born with, but others acquire it over a long period of time due to exposure to chemicals. So a lot of times, for instance, mechanics end up acquiring eczema because of that. The same thing can also hold true if you're overusing sanitizer or always exposing your skin to alcohol. You can acquire eczema and have chronic dryness and itchy dry skin. Also, more bacterial growth ends up occurring. This due to the fact they become more resistant to the skin, and if you have any cracks, as I mentioned before, they end up residing there. And then lastly, the skin is unable to naturally disinfect itself. This is pretty important. We have to remember that the body has the ability to do a lot of things in and of itself, and when we alter those natural defense mechanisms, we're doing our health a lot of damage. So once again, always using the alcohol-based sanitizer removes that natural acid mantle, and the skin is able to disinfect itself naturally. Some suggestions is don't over-sanitize. And now I know if you're a parent or you just are in the habit of wanting to have really good hygiene, I understand where the logic would be behind using it all the time, but remember, you're actually doing yourself more damage. If you want to sanitize, do it periodically, but don't overdo it. If you are going to use a sanitizer, highly suggest using non-alcohol based products. There are some out there on the market, and these do a much better job while damaging the skin less. And lastly, we actually recommend using soap and water. Soap, we recommend using white soap because whenever soap has a color to it or is transparent, that actually means it's been chemically altered. So soap brands such as Dove are excellent. And then of course using water, so the soap will obviously get rid or loosen up some of the debris that might be on your skin, and the water actually has some disinfectant properties to it. So I want to thank you for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me directly at jacob@metapureproducts.com. Also invite you to follow our blog. We have a new video post every single Friday at mympHforlife.com. Thanks and have a great day.